What's going on, guys? We are back with another banger of an episode. You saw the title. We are here with MN Joe, Minnesota Joe. Joe. Man, when I started watching this guy in my early days of breaking, I remember there's a video that Strife TV put out, and I would watch it before every practice just to get hyped. And thanks to your DMs and pushing me to reach out, we got him here on the mic, so I'm super excited. Again, I check all my comments, all the DMs. If you want someone on the show, let me know. Let's make it happen. All right, super powerful discussion coming up. He shared with us his point of view on this dance. We discuss some challenges that we all face at one point or another and lessons learned along the way. So this is one you do not want to miss. This episode was recorded pre-COVID-19, so the productions that Joe has scheduled that he mentions on this episode are subject to change, and some already have changed. So be sure to stay tuned to the end of the episode where I will let you know these new dates, and these will also be updated on our website and on our Instagram. Also, at the end of the show, I'll go over how you can be a part of future episodes. Crazy, I know, but I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's run the intro and get straight into it. Let's go. What's going on, guys? Wolvie here, and welcome to The CYPHER. On this episode and every episode of In the CYPHER Breaking Podcast, we chat with a b-boy or b-girl, and they share their knowledge and experience with you to help you become a better dancer. And on the mic today, we got Joseph MN Joe Tran, a professional breaker of 17 years. He is a member of the world-renowned crew Knuckleheads Cali and a founding member of BRKFST Dance Company, an exploratory dance company rooted in hip-hop. BRKFST utilizes breaking movement with contemporary concepts to create works without a label. Tran's unique and dynamic moves have helped him secure first-place titles across Italy, Estonia, Colombia, France, the Netherlands, California, New York, and of course, Minnesota. Currently, he is a breaking instructor at Saint Paul Conservatory for performing artists and a teaching artist for COMPAS, a non-profit education organization that teaches through art. Joe, thank you for joining me. I'm excited to have you, and I'm really excited to get into this discussion. You ready to get into it?
Yeah, man.
Cool. How you feeling?
I feel good.
Awesome. Thanks for agreeing to be on the show, man.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I've been watching you for a while, and we had a couple people reach out to me to try to get you on the mic, so I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. So why don't you just start by telling us what you like to do outside of breaking?
Oh, man. So my entire world is pretty much consumed by it. So I feel like that's all I'm into.
Right.
Currently, I teach. I mean, it involves breaking, but I've really enjoyed teaching lately. Other things I like outside of breaking, I like to read. I like comedy. Not that I would do stand up ever or anything, but I enjoy watching comedians. Man, I guess I'm just like a breakdance nerd at the end of the day, though.
No, that's cool. Are you living like completely off dance?
Right now, yes, I am. So it's been about a year and a half since I've completely went down the artist route.
Crazy.
Before, I used to work at my dad's company. He has a manufacturing company, and I would work there pretty much every day. But I just finally pulled the trigger and just started trying to live off dance, and it hasn't been the easiest thing, but it's been much more fulfilling and enjoyable. So yeah, I teach and I perform and try to scrap by and get all the gigs. So
that's
what
cool.
I'm do. Yeah.
What have you found the biggest challenge with that?
Biggest challenge with that is just really having anything solid. It's always like a gig here, a gig there, and you constantly have to just be on the lookout for opportunities, I guess, and also just budgeting, and that it's. Yeah, I would say that's the hardest part is the consistency. But yeah, that's the biggest challenge.
Okay, cool. Would you have
Yeah.
any advice for somebody who's trying to make the switch to living off the dance full time?
Whoa, that's a good question. Yeah, I would say be really open to all kinds of gigs. So I'm not necessarily performing all the time. I'm teaching like little kids, or I teach residencies at elementary schools, or I even teach, sometimes I sub for like a modern dance class. I don't do modern myself. I'll just
Hmm.
teach breaking, but like just being open to inserting yourself into other parts of the dance world. So don't just limit yourself to like performing and that's it, you know. It's more
Sure.
about teaching and uh yeah. Yeah, I would say that. Be open. Be open to whatever.
Cool, man. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So, how about you want to get into how you started breaking? How long have you been breaking, anyways?
Let's see, I've been dancing for since I was 13. I'm 30 now. So 17 years, I guess.
Holy,
Um,
okay.
yeah, I count the first day I ever tried to move as when I started breaking.
Right.
And I know a lot of people are like, I didn't get serious till about 4 years or whatever. But I'm like, nah. I definitely, as soon as I discovered it, I like just ran with it. Um, so I guess the basic story of that is, let's see here. How do I explain this? So how I started breaking was, all right, so I don't know how to swim, which is like super embarrassing.
All right.
Like to the point where I would get really, really, really shy and ashamed about it. So I remember my cousin invited me to the water park one day, and I was like, shit, I don't know how to swim. I'm embarrassed. So I was like, oh, let me call my dad to make sure I can go with you guys. And I was like 11 at the time. And so I called my dad from my cousin's house, and I was like, hey, just tell him you won't let me go, you know? And then so I was like, oh yeah, I can't go. My dad won't let me. And so my cousin's mom was like, what? Let me talk to him. And I was like, shit. So basically, I lied and said I had a stomach ache or something, and they took me home. Anyway, so I was really embarrassed by that, and I asked my parents. I was like, please put me in a school that doesn't have a pool, because most public schools have swimming class, at
Okay.
least in Minnesota. And so they ended up putting me in a private school, a Catholic school. But then that's where I discovered breaking. So, if it had not been my inability to swim, I probably wouldn't be breaking right now.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and so I like slid tackled somebody in soccer or something at the private school,
Hmm.
and I got up in like half a windmill, basically, like a coin drop. Because I used to watch martial arts movies like Shaolin Soccer and shit.
Oh yeah, they do that
Uh,
stuff all day.
yeah, yeah. And so I got up, and some girl was like, "Whoa, you break?" And I was like, "Yep." And that's how I started. I just ran with it.
Crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then who did you start to learn from?
I learned from my cousin. I just discovered that, yeah, he'd been breaking for like a year, and I didn't even know about it. So he was doing like flares and windmills at the time, and he
Wow.
just taught me, and I just started learning from him, and then I found out other people at my church did it. I'm not Catholic anymore, but I was raised in that community.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and then I don't know, it just kind of snowballed, I guess. I just started picking up things really quickly, and yeah, that's who I learned from at the beginning, was my cousin.
Crazy. And then I know I'm not sure if you're still repping Warriors.
Uh-huh.
How did
Uh,
you? Yeah, what's the story behind that?
uh, yeah, so Warriors was like my first real crew in Minnesota, and
Mm.
I learned a lot from Los Boogie. Um, so I met him when I was probably like 15,
Wow.
and we just started practicing together. Me, him, my friend Ty, Ozzy, just local Minnesota people, and that was really my first crew coming up. A lot of those guys, they still break, but we just kind of just had different lifestyles and don't really rep anymore. So those guys are my family, though. Um, so shout outs to them. But yeah, just kind of grew up and moved on, I guess, from that crew. Still my homies for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then what was your training like in those early days?
In those early days, what was my training like? My training was kind of like, um, just try to do the craziest thing you can do. Really nothing to do with music or dancing. I think I was just trying to get crazy moves. So, but Los and Ty taught me a lot about how to actually incorporate the dancing into it. But yeah, back in the day, it was just me throwing my body around trying to do fucking air flares and landing on my face or something. So that was the early days, I guess.
Right. How's it changed now?
Oh boy. Training. How has it changed now?
You still throwing yourself around?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, for the most part, honestly. Yeah, I'm just kind of, a little bit more aware of the fragility of my body, I guess.
Okay.
I'm not old by any means, but I don't know. I find myself getting injured a little bit more easily nowadays. But yeah, I guess the mentality is kind of the same. I just, try to throw myself around and see what I can come up with, I guess.
Right.
That's a good question, actually, because it's almost like I've been doing the exact same thing for 17 years. Sound like a psychopath. Anyway,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe a little bit, but it's working, right?
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So how did you link up with the guys at Knuckleheads Cali?
Okay, so Knuckleheads, I met them in Chicago in
Okay.
2006. There was an IBE qualifier, so it was a one-on-one battle to get invited to IBE. And I went with my crew Warriors. And so I was like one of the first, I mean, you know Daylight? You know who he is?
No, I don't actually.
Yeah, so Daylight is a b-boy from Minnesota. He's like an OG, and he used to rock with Junk Warts in Chicago.
Cool.
And Self X. And before him, there was really nobody ever making any noise in Minnesota besides Slim, who was another guy from out here who I learned a lot from and it really inspired me.
Mm-hmm.
But so we went in 2006, and I was like, I think I was the only Minnesotan b-boy to qualify in a long time to like advance.
Crazy.
So yeah. And so I did really well. I ended up battling MiG 187
Yeah.
in a three-way battle. It was me, him, and Mystify. And he was cool with Knuckleheads at the time. And so like Thesis and Flexum and Mike the Cure were watching him battle, and I did really well against him. Mm-hmm. And then I did really well in the next round as well. And I even remember taking a fanboy picture with Mike the Cure, and I think that photo exists somewhere. I think he has it.
That's cool.
So that's where I met them for the first time, and then Flexum hit me up on MySpace a couple months later, or a month later, and was like, "Hey, you did really well. Would you want to battle with us in Chicago? Because we're going back there pretty soon." And I was just like, "What? Yeah, I guess." And so I battled with them, and then they just seemed to like me for some reason. So that's how we met, and we just built a relationship from there, man.
Dang, that's really cool. Have they been a big influence to you?
Absolutely, dude. I feel like I didn't really start sinking into myself until I started learning from them. Yeah, they've had a huge influence on me. I take inspiration. I still watch old videos of them before I was in the crew, and I really appeal to how they approach the dance. But prior to that, I didn't, I was really influenced by Kevo. He was a huge influence on me. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I used to be called a biter, that I was copying him, which isn't. It's kind of true because he was a huge influence on me. Right. Actually, yeah. I went to. I think at around the same time, 2006, I was really close with Stripes. We used to AAM message all the time. and he invited me out to Jacksonville over the summer, and I went there to practice with those guys, and it just completely changed the way I was dancing then. And then I kind of, maybe unconsciously was breaking a lot like them, and Keva specifically. I'm gonna be honest about that. It was never like a verbatim move. I could never even do what he did,
Right.
It wasn't like I bit his moves, but it was like the approach, I guess. And then Knuckleheads kind of like took me in, and then I kind of started to absorb that style as well. And then I think, up until recently, I think I finally have found something I'm comfortable doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. That's dope.
Yeah, so they've had a big influence on me.
Cool, man. What would you say is one of the biggest things that you've taken from your crew, Knuckleheads?
Ooh, that's a good question. One of the biggest things is, there's layers to that, I think. I think, as far as just breaking goes, as far as the form, I appreciate the storytelling aspect. So the very, when they break, it makes sense. Like they do things for a reason. And it's like, I really like that way of dancing. So it's like the mathematical almost, it's just that storytelling, approach to the dance.
Right.
And then also like I know we get a rep for being like wild animals, but it's kind of true, like we just kind of live by the seat of our pants, for lack of a better term. We just, I appreciate just the candidness of our crew. I think we're, for the most part, unafraid to just live a lifestyle that maybe most people frown upon. I'm not sure how people look at us.
No, but that's cool. Like that, kind of unifies you guys as a crew. Probably makes you guys a lot closer.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, we all butt heads because we're fucking knuckleheads. Like we're all really stubborn. We're all really stubborn in our approach, but that kind of integrity is pretty strong, I guess, with every member in the crew. We're very hard-headed. Of course, we're open to everything, but for the most part, I learned to stick to my guns. That's the most important thing I learned from them. So yeah, man.
Oh, that's dope.
Those are my fucking dudes.
Cool. When you talk about storytelling in your movement, this might be a tough one to answer, but could you get a little specific and give us an example?
Yeah. So I guess I can really only speak for myself, but I like for things to connect. That's a hard one to answer, I think.
Yeah.
There's like a reason for me doing this sweep, or there's a reason for me doing this tap of my foot, I guess. It's just, I don't like redundancy. I don't like to do like something that has no reason. If you ever see me doing like 2 flares, I fucked up, because why would I do 2 of them?
Right. Okay.
So I guess that's kind of an example.
That makes sense. Like you're not doing moves just cause or just for filler. Like everything kind of has a purpose.
Yeah. I mean, and even saying it out loud sounds. I mean, I can appreciate just throwing something too, though. You know what I mean? Like Bert, for example, on our crew is just like he drops bomb after bomb. But like that's his approach, so it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like that's his style. So it all comes, if you look at the entirety of his style, like it makes sense for him. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's gotta make sense aesthetically to me. And so I kind of think that's what I mean by storytelling, like purpose, intention, reason, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Totally. And then the music as well, but I'll be the first to admit that, I don't really think about music too much. I try to tap into it when I'm in a battle, of course, but I'm really obsessed with like aesthetic and like composition. So
Okay,
I hope
cool.
any of that makes sense.
No, totally it does.
It's interesting being on a podcast though, dude, because like all of a sudden I feel like I should have something smart to say, but I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
No, you're good. Like just let it happen, let it flow, and
delete this whole thing, man. Trash.
You're the boss.
Nah. It's cool, man.
I think it's a good segue. How would you describe your style?
Whoo. You know, for the longest time, well, I'll just say this. I think at the end of the day, I think what I naturally am inclined to do is I stick and move. I get in, I get out. So I get straight to the point.
Mm-hmm.
I have more of like I guess like a hitman type of style. I like to I try to do everything as a signature. Not to say that everything is a signature. I'm sure other people have done the moves I have done before, maybe. But I guess I would describe my style as more like an attack, hitman, stick and move kind of style.
Cool. Okay, that's dope.
Because for the longest time, I thought I could. Because I look up to people like, I look at somebody like Menno, or I look at somebody like Thesis, or Paranoid Android, or something, and it's like, damn, I really, really like that style.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I practice that kind of flow or that kind of storytelling in practice, but it doesn't come naturally for me. And so I think I have found that what I'm naturally inclined to do is stick and move. But I'm working on the flow type of thing too. So I don't know. I feel like my style changes as I am more open to things. So yeah.
That's so interesting. Yeah, when you battle, I see mad flow when you throw down.
Oh,
That's
sure.
funny.
Oh.
It's funny how you feel the opposite.
Yeah, dude. I appreciate that. Yeah, okay. I guess that's interesting. Yeah.
Cool, bro. Are you still battling a lot right now? I just saw that you won. Was it Looney's 14th year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats on that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's my first battle in almost a year, about 11 months.
Damn,
I guess I just
good amount of time.
It's a big amount of time. Yeah, I felt like I didn't know how to battle anymore.
Clearly, you didn't forget.
Yeah, I haven't really. Well, I haven't really been invited anywhere, which isn't the only reason, because I should be able to, fly myself out anywhere if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I haven't had the urge to lately. And I was reminded about, like, I only trained like a week before that jam, and it was so exhausting, dude. I was like, what the how are these Olympians doing this shit? Like, Jesus Christ, man. It was so hard. My legs are all noodles. But yeah, I was reminded about, like, how hard on myself I am preparing for a battle, which is awesome because it really makes me think about my approach and how I want to break and how what really matters. You know what I mean? Like, what matters in a battle? Like, what am I trying to really do here? So that's very nice. But at the same time, I was also reminded of how doubtful I am in my abilities. And so I honestly sometimes don't really like myself when I'm training for battles like that, So Right. That's why I haven't really approached it. Yeah.
Okay. How exactly did you prep for this one?
Oh, I mean, I prepped like I would any other jam, I guess. Just basically thinking about signature stuff. How do I, well, it was a one-on-one battle, first of all. So
Hmm.
I haven't done one of those in like 3 years. And so, thinking about how can I get my point across in the most efficient way and not be gassed out. So thinking about, how to structure my rounds and just get my point across. And so I would think about um, my breathing, I guess, and I don't know. I would just go rounds at practice and see where I was at, like, and being honest and be like, can I really throw that there? No, I can't really do that there. So I guess that's generally how I train for a battle. Is how do I get my point across without getting gassed out, and then also just kind of trying to really let loose at practice and seeing how I end up. So it would just be a lot of going rounds at practice, really.
Right. I guess at this point you're pretty, you know your moves pretty well, so you're not like drilling your combos, are you?
No, I still do.
Okay.
I am very, I guess, I, I'm always like, I'm not a person that's like, can I do it? Like, I hit it that one time. Can I really do it again? You know what I mean? And so I do often drill my things a lot to the point of boredom.
Dope. Okay.
But when you are battling, nobody knows that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just like, what can you do? Basically, I drill my moves so much that I don't have to think about them. I just let it fly in the
Right.
battle. So that is something, though, I will say I really enjoyed in the battle. It's like, holy shit, I haven't been in that zone in a minute. When you're just letting things go.
Hmm.
That was awesome. So
That's dope. Putting it all on
yeah,
the floor.
yeah, and just letting all the training come out. You know,
Hmm.
yeah.
Cool. That's dope. Yeah, you mentioned getting your point across without getting gassed. What's your approach to that?
Uh huh. What's my approach to that?
Yes, I'm getting trying to get real specific here.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Are you kind of just piecing together your moves without messing around too much in between?
Yeah, I would say that. And yeah, I think you just answered your question. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I try to just I try to have variation in my rounds. I want to do something a little different each time, but I do like, okay, if my move is uh like a double baby or something, right?
Hmm.
And let's say I can do it from like a coin drop or something, or like a from like within a combo, but it's hard. It's not as easy as doing it from like, or it's not as easy as doing it from just standing, like dropping into it. And
Right.
so I think to myself, okay, what is the point of me stressing out doing it from a flare than just doing it from standing? Like, it's not that big of a deal. So I kind of just, I just trim away the fat. I'm like, why am I doing it from here for? When I can just do it from this easier position, doesn't make it that much different. And
Right.
so, that's what I try to think about. It's not to say that I don't appreciate, or like in practice, it's a little different. I'm like, damn, I did it from headspin, double baby or something. That's dope. But in the battle, I'm kind of just like, I'm battling. I'm not trying to be like, look, I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense, man. But yeah, I just try to trim the fat, dude. Just what matters here? What matters here?
Yeah, totally. Cool. I
Yeah.
like that. Cool. Going into this jam, were you going in to win?
Honestly, I just kind of wanted to get a sense of how I felt at a jam again. That was the real reason why I entered, because I haven't been at a jam in so long.
Hmm.
I just wanted to be like, do I really like this? Do I miss it? Do I still enjoy this? That was my number one goal. And when I got into the final, You know, it was for a measly $400, but now that I'm doing this artist thing, I'm like, oh shit, I actually really need that money right now. So I was like, I'm gonna try to smoke this dude and get this money. So it was a combination of both of those things. And I would say that, I do enjoy it still. I do. It's just the behind the scenes stuff that can get pretty tough, you know? So.
What do you mean behind the scenes stuff? Are you talking about the training?
The training, yeah, the training for it. Kind of that, you know, I think most people suffer from like that imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I really that good or good enough?
Right.
So it's all that stuff that comes up when you're preparing for something.
Yeah, and that takes a mental toll on you.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think I would think that way regardless of training anyway for a battle. So it's kind of changed me a little bit since that battle, because now I'm kind of like, well, you might as well do it anyway, you know. At least then you come out the other side like, oh, okay, with a little bit more understanding of where you're coming from.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, it's just that it can be a scary place when you're preparing for jams, because everybody's so super confident, and I'm over here like, dude, can I really do this? You know, do I even enjoy myself when I'm doing this? Yeah, I think you just have to build the mental fortitude to deal with that kind of stuff, maybe.
Okay, yeah, sure. How would you, I guess, recommend, because you're definitely not alone in feeling this way, and
yeah,
how would you recommend or advise people to kind of push through that, develop that mental fortitude?
That's a good question. I would say just really be honest with yourself and ask yourself, you know, why am I doing this thing? And write it down. I like to write it down physically, and just whittle it down to what are my basic values for this? Because even if I lose, as long as I'm fulfilling, you know, A, B, C values, then I come out the other side, win or lose, with more experience. So I would say just really being curious and honest about why you're doing something or why you feel a certain way about something, and just talking through it with your homies or whatever. Yeah, I'm just really interested in that vulnerable space of the dance that I feel like most people really don't talk about, I guess. So I would say, yeah, just ask yourself and be really honest. Like, you know, the answer could be whatever, but I don't know. Yeah.
No, that's a really, really good answer. And yeah, you're totally right about the honesty, because, I mean, if you're lying, then you're only lying and cheating yourself.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, that's a really good answer.
Yeah, because I've won battles where I felt terrible about what I put out there, like my approach, and like I just did not feel like I won, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And there are battles where I've lost, but I knew where I stood, and I felt great. So, I mean, you can, I guess, I don't know. I guess that could be me justifying a loss or something, or like it could sound like a cop out, but I think just as long as you know, as clear as you can, because it's not going to be like 100% clear, but as clear as you can why you're doing something, I think that can go a long way.
Beauty. Yeah, I love that so much.
Yeah.
Cool, bro. We'll be seeing you at more battles?
Hopefully, man. Yeah, I got some projects coming up though, man. So I guess I'll do some shameless plugging right now.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, so actually, I'm gonna be working with Rudy Goblin. Flipside Kings.
Yeah.
So I got this grant. I was awarded this grant in Minnesota, and part of the grant is to do a solo show in Minnesota. So it's like a theater piece by myself. But they give me a budget to commission a choreographer, to work on me, and so I chose Rudy Goblin. And so we're going to be working together. And as you know, him and his crew are like legendary.
Oh yeah.
To me at least. And he's been doing theater for like 15 years. So naturally I was like, man, I want this guy, cause his work on the stage is really, really great. And so that's what I'm going to be focusing on in this next year. And then I also have a dance company I'm a part of called BRKFST Dance Company. Mm-hmm. And we're also doing a new theater show in June of 2020. So this year's pretty busy mentally as far as, what I want to do with but yeah, I would like to go to like freestyle session or even just small local jams here and there because, yeah, again, I was reminded about how much I actually did enjoy it and how much influence or how many ideas I get from a jam to put into my theater shows as well. Yeah, hopefully I'll battle more, but my current projects with the solo and BRKFST is what's taking up my time right now. So.
Yeah, totally. You've done a lot of theater shows in the past, right?
I mean, I've been part of a theater company for about 6 years almost. So, I wouldn't say I'm really experienced, honestly. But yeah, we've put on 2 productions with my company and some other small works, but it's really exciting, man. It's cool to be a part of something that's not a jam or a battle.
Yeah, 100%. It's totally different. Do you think it's affected the way you dance at all?
I think it has a little bit. I don't think I think it has. I think I've thought more about intention and energy and composition. Just this last battle, man, like I thought about, when you're at a battle and like you break, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I would love to see you break. I'm sorry that I didn't research more into it. But
don't worry, it's all good.
But when you try to get in the zone and you're like, fuck, I'm like kind of forcing it or something. I kind of thought about theater and my dance company and like we have a piece that's really intense and I was like, just be that. Just act that. Like just laser focus and just tap into that character that I've been before. And so that really helped a lot, just thinking as far as performance and execution, thinking about myself being on stage performing. So it has helped. It has helped me a lot, I think.
Dang, very cool.
Yeah.
You probably draw some inspiration from just different types of movements and probably dancing to different music as well, moving to different music.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of b-boys should be open to other dance styles. Not that I don't take other dance styles, but I go and watch shows like theater shows and I go and watch other ways of performing. So not always battling, like storytelling or things like that. Tap, modern, postmodern, ballet, like looking at how they view performance is like really interesting. So I would encourage anybody else to like just go and see shows, man. It's really inspiring.
Yeah, totally. I'm on the same page 100%.
Yeah.
Cool, man. You seem like you're really in touch with how you feel. You seem like you're really honest with yourself. So I'm kind of excited to ask this question to you.
Okay, yeah.
What would you say is your biggest obstacle in breaking, and how did you overcome it?
The first thing that comes to mind is I guess my own self-doubt, man. That is something I'm still trying to overcome, I guess. And it's just something I battle with every day, I think. And I think that's part of the overcoming of it, I think, is just I keep addressing it. I keep finding reasons to tell myself that I'm good enough. I don't know, man. That's really hard. That's a really hard question. That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a process, right?
Yeah, it is. It is definitely a process. I don't think it's really an obstacle. It's like to get over. It's more like a compass, I think, to check myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's not like I'm ever not gonna have that self-doubt. I think it's actually kind of healthy. It's not gonna feel good all the time because it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I think that obstacle or that compass is a part of who I am. And so just kind of learning how to immerse myself enough to have some sort of measurement of success, if that makes any sense. So just constantly putting in work, constantly asking myself questions, and it just sounds so exhausting even talking about it. You can imagine what goes in my head.
No, but it's cool.
I feel like I sound like I'm supposed to be some sort of genius or something because I think about all these things, but it's just, I don't know. I'm just talking. I don't know.
Yeah, well, like we're all human, man. And that was one thing I love about these interviews is, I mean, thank you for being so open, but like a lot of people, a lot of b-boys anyways, like we don't talk about this stuff. And you're definitely not alone in feeling that way. And it's cool that you are able to talk to it.
Yeah.
Like,
go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, this is stuff that doesn't come across like when you're watching YouTube videos and you're watching other people battle. So
yeah.
It only comes out when you actually start talking to a person, you know?
Yeah. Because you break, right? I mean, like, do you feel some of the same sentiments or?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's why I can relate to you, and that's why I can ask these sorts of questions because I'm kind of asking for myself in some of these things, you know?
Yeah. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you could, would you have anything to say about like that? How do you overcome self-doubt or, because I can learn from you too, man. I mean.
Yeah, I think it's really similar stuff to what you said. The biggest thing is just being honest with yourself and being clear with your goals and why you're doing this. And just like your reasons for dancing and doing this and training and just making sure that your actions and the way that you feel are in line with that end goal.
Yeah. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
No, it's all good. Yeah, and just like going back to what you said, the biggest thing that I found that's helped me personally is the self-reflection and just keep asking yourself over and over and over again. And you're right, it's an exhausting process, but sometimes it is necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, this podcast is relatively young, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be like episode 10 or so.
Okay, yeah. So I can imagine it'd be pretty hard to start this thing up, right? I mean, getting people on board and then being like, who are you guys? Who are these podcast people now?
Yeah.
And so I imagine, you must have come along some self-doubt along the way, but.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially when you're talking about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Who am I to do this? Like, I'm a nobody. But yeah, and sometimes it just takes. Sometimes you just kind of have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And then you realize there are other people that feel the same way.
Yeah.
And it's reassuring.
For sure. Yeah, man. This has all of a sudden turned into a
therapy session almost. That's funny. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what makes a good b-boy great?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I haven't asked this one too many times, actually.
What makes a good b-boy great? I would say, and I'm just speaking off the top of my head here.
Yeah.
But I would just say their demeanor and how they carry themselves outside of the battle. Like, I've met plenty of good b-boys who are kind of not very nice, you know, or just assholes, for lack of a better word. Not naming anybody in specific. But I think what makes a good b-boy great is just their presence, how they show up. And I can see that in a battle, in the middle of a battle, even. You know, I can more or less tell when somebody's being authentic in their aggression or in their coolness. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell, right? You can tell when somebody's putting on a show or if they're like really tapped in.
Yeah, big time.
And I think, you know, if there's a reason to be aggressive and attacking, you can tell by witnessing that it's appropriate, you know. But if you're just being a dickhead, you can tell that too.
Yeah.
But I think what makes a good b-boy great is their authenticity of how they show up. So in a battle and outside of it, you know.
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, I think it's how they show up. And I've been perceived as an asshole too sometimes, you know. Sometimes I'm just really not in the mood to talk to somebody, you know, outside of a battle. And that's just me being authentic, man. I'm being an asshole, you know. You can be authentic and be an asshole at the same time. Those aren't two different things. But I'm just saying I'm not immune to this either. But I think, yeah, just I'm getting super meta, man.
No, it's cool. Like, this is really dope. But I like that answer a lot. Actually, it's because you got to be real with yourself, like off the dance floor, and yeah, especially on the dance floor, and your dance is kind of a reflection of you, right?
Yeah, but you know, I gotta say, I can appreciate the approach that some people have said, where them battling is a way to escape from themselves in a way, that they can be a different character. So I appreciate that approach too. But it's just like, does that character need to leave that space? Like, can you know what I mean? So, there's so many different approaches to the thing.
Yeah, sure. And there's a lot of different, like, degrees to it as well. Like,
yeah.
Matt Action, he was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And he learned from motion that about this character stuff, and he saw himself as a samurai at one point. But he's not walking around with a samurai sword wherever he goes. You know?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, no, that's a great approach. I think if it works for you, at the end of the day, if you can live with yourself about the actions you took, I think you're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's really good advice.
Because you're the one that's got to live with it. You're the one that's got to live with yourself.
No, it's true.
If you feel like you did something wrong, you're like, shit, I was an asshole. Then maybe change your approach. Or if you're okay with that, then that's cool. But yeah, you're the one that's got to deal with it. So yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. Before we do wrap up, do you have anything left that you want to put out there?
You know, I was mulling this over, this interview. And I was like, man, I feel like I should have something intelligent to say for whatever reason. But I did have something that I was thinking about, because I teach at a high school, at a performing arts school. And they're young, you know, they're in high school. So 14 to 18 years old. And, I just think let's see how I can tie this all together. So like in our breaking community, we're constantly told to like, just do you know? Like, do your style. But when you tell a kid that, they're a kid, dude. Like, they don't know who they are yet. I didn't know I still don't know who the fuck I am, you know, and I'm 30.
Straight up, yeah.
I'm still learning, you know? And so I just think, you know, if you're like a young b-boy and you're coming up, yes, follow that advice, of course. Just do you. But do the you that you are now. Like, you're going to change. Your approach is going to change. Your aesthetic's going to change. Your taste is going to change. So like, I would say, just keep thinking be curious about yourself. Be curious about the things that people tell you. Just keep yourself in check, you know? So yes, just do you, but it's okay to change, you know? It's okay to take a different approach sometimes. And then it'll come full circle and you'll find, you know, then you'll find yourself, you know? So yeah. Yeah. Do you, and then you can change, whatever.
Drop the mic.
Yeah, man.
That was cool. One of the first interviews was this dude named Razzie D's from here. I'm from Vancouver. He's a local b-boy.
Okay, cool.
He said something very similar, like be patient with yourself and with your style, and it will change and evolve over time, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely, man. Totally 100% agree with that.
Cool. And I think it's cool that you're kind of worried about what you'd be able to share on the podcast.
Yeah.
But the other thing that maybe you should realize is that you have a lot of knowledge and experience, and with those two things comes wisdom. And a lot of people they want to hear from people like you that have kind of been, I don't know, like in the game for a good amount of time, you know.
Yeah.
You pick up a lot of things along the way that maybe you won't appreciate, but the people listening to you will want to listen, soak it in as much as they can, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's dope. Like myself, I've learned so much just listening to you speak this past hour, and I'm sure everyone who listens to the show is gonna feel the same way. So it's dope. I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you facilitating this, man. It's really cool. I think it's really important that people hear from b-boys, man. Yeah, it's really awesome.
Cool, yeah. I feel the same way.
I know I didn't talk about a lot about breaking or double windmills or anything like that. But I hope somebody can get something out of this, I suppose.
I'm sure there's some tutorials out there. We'll find one some fan service. So it's one advice for double windmills.
One advice is I would say each double is a little different, so you might end up on the floor in a different angle. So just kind of look where you're going. I would say spot yourself, and then the technique changes depending on the windmill. So I would say that, I guess. Just try and make different shapes. Do some cool shit. I don't really know.
Did you start doing them by going really fast? Just trying to whip harder and harder every time?
Dizzy from Motion Disorders taught me how to do them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he was in my mom's basement. Well, that sounds weird. He just happened to be there, and I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, we were practicing, and he just showed me, and I just hung on to it. So, props to him for showing me. Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. I want to give you a chance to tell us where to find you and the things you got going on. I know you got two big ones. You got the show that you got a grant for with Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah. So yeah, let's see, Minnesota Joe. I'm on Instagram. It's MNJOE88. I'm also on Facebook, but I don't use it very much. So Minnesota Joe 88. And then I'm part of a dance company called Breakfast Dance. That's BRKFST. So breakfast with no vowels. We're on Facebook, Breakfast Dance Company. On Instagram, Breakfast Dance. And we do theater shows with breaking movement as our aesthetic. And so we use the breaking moves with purpose and intention and try to tell stories outside of, performing and battling. So that's what my dance company does. We got a big show coming up in Minneapolis, June 2020. And then I have a solo show that I'm doing with Rudy Goblin of Flipside Kings. He's going to choreograph me, and I'm going to do my own theater piece, and that's going to premiere also in September of 2020. Yeah, that's what I got going on, and I hope people check it out and are inspired by it, and maybe want to do theater too, and just do breaking in a different way outside of battling. So, yeah,
Very dope.
Breakfast Dance Company is the name.
Dope. I'm going to have all that linked in the show notes and wherever you find this podcast. June 2020, September 2020.
Yep, that's right. Mm-hmm.
That's dope. Cool. All right, guys. You've been hanging out with Joe and your host, Wolvie. Head over to inthecipher.com. Search Joe in the search bar, and his show notes page will come up with everything we've been talking about today. And I'll be sure to update it next year whenever these shows go live. Thank you, Joe, for getting on the mic and sharing your unique perspective on this dance. This was a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you, Wolvie. I really appreciate it, man. You're doing a great thing.
Appreciate that. Your message will reach and inspire a lot of b-boys and b-girls around the world, so that's really dope. We got to learn from one of the greatest today. So hope to have you back on the show, man. But until then, we will catch you in the cypher.
Yeah, man. Hope to be back. Thanks, man. Peace.
And there you have it, guys. Joe, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the podcast. Before we close out the show, I want to clarify that some of the dates of the upcoming productions that Joe mentioned in the episode did change. So here they are in chronological order. First is his show in collaboration with Rudy Goblin, which I'm sure is going to be super dope. It's still set for September 11th to 12th, 2020, but that could be subject to change depending on how the COVID-19 situation proceeds. Next, we have the breakfast show called 6040, which has been rescheduled to June 3rd to 6th, 2021. And finally, we have breakfast show with Minnesota Orchestra Hall, and that has been rescheduled to July 2021. And of course, all of these dates and future updates will be posted on Joe's show notes page on our website, inthecipher.com, so be sure to check it out and stay up to date. Be sure to follow Joe on Instagram at mnjoe88, and also Breakfast Dance Company on Instagram at Breakfast Dance, spelled BRKFST, Breakfast Dance. I'm sure they'll post updates on the status of the upcoming shows. And I know Joe also posts some really dope practice footage, so be sure to check it out. And be sure to follow us on Instagram as well at _inthecipher. On this Instagram page, we post some behind the scenes, some clips from the show, and also some sneak peeks of future guests. And we want to give you an opportunity to ask some of these guests questions before I actually record, so we can answer your questions live on the mic. So that would be super, super dope. So be sure you're following for those opportunities. New episodes in the works, so subscribe to wherever you're listening to the show to make sure you don't miss any new uploads. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. I will catch you on the next episode, or I'll catch you in the cypher. Take care. Peace out.